So some tech billionaires formed a group to save California. It's called Save California because there was a proposed 5% wealth tax on billionaires, and they've called it Save California. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful for the fact that these people are worried about saving California. If this happened, oh my gosh, it would have been the absolute end of California. I don't know what would have happened to the nation as a whole if this signal group didn't exist and there weren't people as brave as, the top 10 richest people on earth to come together and, save California from this horrible, horrible and scary wealth tax. Anyway, California's wealthiest tech executives have formed a private signal group chat called Save California to coordinate opposition against a proposed 5% wealth tax on billionaires, uniting a typically fractured Silicon Valley community around a shared threat to their fortunes. Oh my gosh. If I wake up tomorrow morning and I don't see 100 billion, but I see 95 billion, what am I going to do? I needed that extra five. I needed that extra 5 billion. I was about to buy a yacht and 100 houses. I was going to buy a neighborhood with that. The chat group, first reported by the Wall Street Journal on January 10th, includes dozens of tech luminaries such as Anduril co-founder Palmer Luckey, former Trump administration cryptocurrency advisor David Sachs, and Ripple co-founder Chris Larson, who's a prominent supporter of Kamala Harris. Members are, they've gone across both political aisles. It's as if these political parties are willing to work together every once in a while. That would be crazy, right? There's no way that they're actually on the same side. Members are voicing opposition to the tax proposing alternatives and discussing efforts to distance themselves from California. The proposed ballot measure, backed by the Service Employees International Union United Healthcare Workers West, would impose a one-time 5% tax on California residents with net worth exceeding $1 billion as of January 1st, 2020. That is very quick. Oh no, I thought it would be done by January. Yeah, I read that wrong. If approved by voters in November, the tax could raise approximately $100 billion from roughly 200 billionaires to fund healthcare programs facing federal budget cuts. So, looking at this objectively, obviously California is trying to do what they can with the people who have an insane amount of net worth. California has the highest GDP for an individual state out of any other state in the United States of America. So, it's obviously, there are obviously a ton of billionaires who live there. But $100 billion to go into government programs, that is the most tiring thing, because we know individually, as individuals, right? And I'm not defending the billionaires here, but we know as individuals that our money, when it goes to taxes, is being used on slop. It's being used on shit, garbage. It's an absolute waste of money. One bomb, use of a gun for 1 minute. There's literally some anti-aircraft weapons that shoot thousands of rounds per minute. Is more than lots of people's taxes put together for the entire year. It would be much more useful to those individuals than it would be to be tested for the government. So we know how useless it is for our money to go into that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be taxed. I'm not saying that this money is nothing or, oh man, it shouldn't be used, shouldn't be taken. What I'm saying is, if you're going to take people's money, it needs to be on good stuff. And I think that's the way that most Americans feel about taxes in general. I think most Americans would be okay, not happy, but okay with their taxes being taken if they knew that their taxes were actually going towards something of value, something that wasn't absolute shite, something that wasn't a complete waste of money and adds no value or creates no difference for the system collectively. Like if you told me that my taxes were going towards some specific program, and obviously I didn't think this through in terms of what specific program, I'm sure I could generate one with 10 minutes of sitting down that actually had value to the people and the citizens of America, then so be it. Go ahead. Which is why I'm completely down for welfare and things of that nature and social assistance from the government, because they already do this for billionaires. So while you're crying and complaining about people getting EBT and this and that and the other, Section 8, they're already giving way more money than that to billionaires for tax cuts and for other things so that they can continue to make even more money while you make even less. So it's a battle that you aren't on the winning side of. You are, which is the billionaire side. You aren't on the winning side. You gain nothing to, you have nothing to gain. You stand nothing to gain from them, being taxed in this way, yet you're acting like it's your personal problem. And it's so, I hate this word because MAGA has ruined it just like a lot of other things, but it's such propaganda to believe that their problems are your problems, or that these people are somehow on your side and the things that affect them affect you. Like you have to have the most basic level of thought to fall into that or to believe that. And essentially what you're saying if you're against something like this is exactly that. Like, just because you are getting taxed 25%, you are getting taxed 25%, and you think a 5% tax on them is the absolute end all be all. It's the end of the world. Anyway, let's scroll down, see if there's anything more. As we could see, the billionaires on the list, the poor billionaires on the list. Oh my gosh, you were probably in this group chat. Exodus accelerates as deadline passes. The retroactive nature of the tax has already triggered departures. Google co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin moved T-Rex LLC, an entity they jointly managed for nearly 2 decades, from California to Delaware. Delaware is like the OG. It's the first place that I think that the first LLC was created in Delaware. I'm pretty sure the first corporations were created in Delaware. It's a place where a bunch of tech billionaires or people who own tech companies in general create their companies. My company is stationed out of Delaware, or it's remotely stationed out of Delaware, narrowly beating the residency deadline. Page separately converted his family office and multiple other entities out of the state in late December. And this is the biggest fear. This is what the billionaires do. They run away if you tax them. They go to another state or they go to another country, which is why nobody can do it and everybody's afraid of it. It was a good attempt from California's end. It's just funny collectively because I'm not even making like a big statement as to why as to this being great or this being evil. What I'm saying is, if you're getting upset over them attempting to do this, then you're crazy. And it's just funny that they have a group chat. These billionaires have a group chat to talk about how they're going to run away from taxes. Now if you go and do some tax fraud or don't pay your taxes, your life will be ruined. You'll be in jail for 10 years. They'll find 1,000 different ways to just mess you up. But at least 6 billionaires left California before the new year, according to financial advisors specializing in wealth relocation. Venture capitalist Peter Thiel announced a Miami office for his family investment firm on New Year's Eve, while Sachs unveiled a new Austin office for Craft Ventures the same day. That is insane. They mobilized so quick. Like, so quick they mobilized. And they had their own little group chat, little high school group chat. But instead of talking about, what girl you're talking to, they're talking about the billions of dollars they're about to lose. It's just so funny. The proposal has exposed sharp fault lines among Silicon Valley elites. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman called the tax a horrendous idea that would force executives to sell illiquid stock holdings. Poorly designed taxes incentivize avoidance, capital flight, and distortions that ultimately raise less revenue. Yes, but I mean, California can throw their weight around like that. California is, for whatever reason, there must be enough incentives to keep a bunch of billionaires there or push them there. Because, I mean, Silicon Valley has been it forever, and they have the highest GDP out of any other state in the United States, to say again. In stark contrast, NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, who could face a $7.75 billion tax bill. Sorry, Jensen. I almost took $250 billion from you there. Said he was perfectly fine with the measure. We chose to live in Silicon Valley, and whatever taxes they would like to apply, so be it. I mean, that is in a perfect world, that's the way to go about this. But again, can I honestly be on California's side if it's going to go towards something that's not justified? That's the question. Governor Gavin Newsom has publicly opposed the tax as bad policy, warning it will drive billionaires to other states. His longtime consultants launched a Stop the Squeeze campaign alongside business leaders to defeat the measure. The opposition comes as Newsom is widely viewed as a potential 2028 presidential candidate, creating political tensions as he balances Silicon Valley donors against progressive allies backing the tax. Okay, that's about it. You guys get my why I want to show this to you. It's really just funny above anything else. Obviously, if you're a billionaire, you want to run away. You don't want your money to be taken, no matter how greedy it is. It's your money. And obviously, if you are a person who's not a billionaire, don't act like this affects you or you should care. It's just really funny that because we wouldn't want our taxes spent on garbage either. If it went towards something good, we'd be okay with it, but we know that most of the time it doesn't. It's just funny that they created a group chat like little high schoolers to talk about how how they need to preserve this 5% tax, how horrible of a thing this is. That's all.